down to plates. Wait. Welcome to TV and Business on Television Nigerian. I'm Chiwendu Osisiago. Today we shall be discussing on convenience and affordability with outsourcing travel logistics. Outsourcing should be an integral part of business system. No sector or organization can be fully independent. It has to receive input at some point from an outside company or auxiliary service such as travel logistics. Most businesses have come to the realization that owning everything required for doing business on their value chain is not an effective way of operating. Travel logistics is one of the such prominent aspects of business that is usually a source for effectiveness and affordability. Our guest is here with us in the studio to discuss on this issue. But before we proceed, let's look at the business update for today. The Federal Executive Council on Wednesday approved 7.2% as new value-added tax rate for the country, up from the current 5%. However, a decision has yet to be taken on the effective date of the new rate. The Minister of Finance, Budget and National Planning, Zainab Ahmed, who spoke with State House correspondents after the FEC meeting in Abuja, said consultations were in process after when the new rate would apply. She explained that stakeholders, including the National Assembly and the states, would have to agree on the date, stating that the Value Added Tax Act would have to be amended by the National Assembly before the commencement of the new rates, which she said could be sometime in 2020. Ahmed, who also spoke on the preparation for the 2020 budget, disclosed that the FEC approved the 2020-2022 medium-term expenditure framework and fiscal strategy paper, which will soon be presented to the National Assembly for approval. The national stock market witnessed a rebound on Wednesday as investors gained 51.5 billion naira on the back of price appreciation in May and Baker Nigerian PLC and 18 other stock. At the end of trading on the floor of the Nigerian Stock Exchange on Wednesday, the market capitalization of equities increased from 13.158 trillion naira to 13.209 trillion naira. The all share index increased by 0.31% to settle at 27,153.53 basic points, which is the year-to-date loss to minus 13.6%. However, activity level weakened as volume and value traded fell by 41.9% and 70.2% to 211.522 million units and 1.449 billion naira respectively. The top traded stock by volume were Cutview Business Solution PLC 35.2 million units, Sterling Bank PLC 34.7 million units, and Asset Bank PLC 29.9 million units, while the top traded by volume were Asset Bank 208.4 million naira, Zenith Bank 206.8 million naira, and Seaplate Petroleum Development Company PLC 147.8 million naira. Investor sentiment as measured by market breadth remained unchanged at 1.5x from the previous trading section as 19 stock outperformed 13 stock that declined. The cost of diesel used for powering telecom towers is estimated at 8.8 billion naira. Analysis of industry figures has shown. Stakeholders in the telecom industry, while speaking at the Nigerian Telecom Conference in Lagos on Wednesday, said mobile network operators were buying an average of 40 million liters of diesel per month to power telecoms sites. With the average of cost of diesel in Nigeria at 220 naira per liter, this amounts to 8.8 billion naira every month. The Vice President Network Operation Airtel Nigeria, Dr. Adedoyin Adeola, noted power supply was being sabotaged by different people who were benefiting from alternative forms of energy. According to him, network operators in Nigeria and few other African countries are the only ones who introduced two power generating sets in their business case. He said due to the unreliable power supply from the grid, telecom operators had advised various means of ensuring consistent power supply to masts and towers across the country. But that's much we have for you today on TV and Business Updates. I'm Chiwendu Osisiago. Now we shall be looking at the graphical representations of business stories making headlines. Stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, and in case you're just joining us, it's still TVN Business. Like I said earlier, we shall be discussing on convenience and affordability with outsourcing travel logistics. And of course, our guest is here with us in the studio. He's a travel advisor, a businessman, and a social commentator. He is Richard Balogun. He will be discussing on some of the benefits of outsourcing as it pertains to travel logistics. You're welcome to TVN Business.
Thank you very much.
With all these theory portfolios, that will just only you.
Thank you very
You're
much.
welcome. It's good to have you.
Yeah.
You're talking about the convenience and affordability with outsourcing travel logistics. Yes. Could you introduce outsourcing in the context of travel logistics?
Okay, so basically, outsourcing of travel logistics has to do with every aspect of the business, every aspect of travel. Okay. Starting from your flight, your visas, your flights, airport drop off, the actual flight itself, pick off from the airport back to the hotel. Everything that has to do with your travel logistics. So getting it off your head and having somebody do that for you is basically what a travel logistics person does for you.
Okay, thank you. So talking about the travel, what exactly does it entail?
Okay, well, it depends because we have different travel needs, right? Some local, some international, some even just people assume most of the time that travel logistics always has to do with flying. It's not necessarily flying. Sometimes you might want to go with a 4x4 to some rural location somewhere. So all of this is involved in the package. So it's a complete package. Whatever need that is related to travel, from the point where you set it in mind that you have something to achieve to the point where you are back home. So everything in between, from the first thought to you are safely back to your point of origin. All of that is involved in travel logistics. Okay,
so who should outsource travel logistics? Is it the government agencies? Is it the private firms, individual, or just anybody that can actually do that?
That's a good question, really. There are different schools of thought as to this. Some believe that it has to do with volume. Some believe that if you don't have much volume, then you shouldn't outsource. But personally, I believe that if you have ease in mind, you should outsource. Even if it's just one trip. The idea behind the outsourcing of travel logistics is to just take the stress off your head, to ensure that somebody else does all the worrying for you. Once you just show up, everything that you need is set. So basically everybody from
including the government,
private organizations, NGOs, families, family trips. Say you are going to Dubai or something, you don't have to bother your head with all of that because there are some people whose job it is to know all of these things. So why not just take advantage of them, especially if you are getting it at a good rate.
So as a travel logistic that you are, what have you entailed in doing that? What have you put in place in making sure things go right?
Oh, okay, great. I said earlier that it's the job of the travel agents to know stuff. So what we do is that I have access to information that you probably do not already have. So say you have a trip to maybe Germany, for instance. It's my duty to know what's the best airline for you to go through. It's my duty to know what's the best means of transportation to move within, if you have to go via train, via bus. So it's my duty to know all of that. So you may not know that. So I have that information, I transfer it to you. And then
make it easier.
Make it very easy.
All right, thank you. So various stages of travel arrangements, visa, tickets, travel insurance, accommodation, forex, etc. Which is most advisable to outsource?
Well, I would say all, but at the same time, I like to advise people, especially when it comes to the visa aspect of it. Because of the way the country is and because of the way the world is actually, there is a limit to what an agent can do for you, especially when it comes to visa. Some people promise you, Dubai, of course, Dubai is quite easy to get. Some people say your US visa is guaranteed. It's not guaranteed, really. So I don't think people should give such adverts. But you can always help, of course. Like, this is the best way to answer this question. This is the best way to arrange your documents. So we'll help you to package, and then the rest is up to the embassy as to whether to give you the decision or not.
Okay. Okay. What does it take to become a travel advisor?
You don't necessarily have to have, such an elaborate education, but you must be very inquisitive. And you must genuinely be interested in helping people.
Okay.
You know, of course, some people do it. Every business is to make profit at the end of the day.
Yeah,
but you know, when you have it in, when you have somebody's comfort in mind, even when you give a quote, for instance, and then something comes up later on, you can say, you know what, we just got something else that I think is going to be better for you. The idea is to make the person happy. So basically, the summary of all that we do is to ensure that your client is happy. So whatever it is, once you have a heart for people, once you love people, and you're inquisitive, you know, you're willing to find out what's next. Don't just maintain the information that you have since Monday, because of course these things change per time. So you have to be inquisitive. You have to have people skills, you know, because sometimes, of course, you would meet people that will get angry because of. So you must be able to handle it in such a way, you know, to calm the nerves and just at the end of the day still get the job done.
Okay, but to become a qualified travel advisor, are you supposed to go to a school, or you just get for training, or there's something you're supposed to do before you become that?
No, honestly, not necessarily. You know, if you take a look at the nation today, you have some people that studied maybe Yoruba and they're working in the bank. And they have somebody that studied maybe economics and is working in, you know, some other firm. Or maybe somebody that studied law and is a presenter. You know, so it's not like you must study, you know, travel, you know, but you just have to have the interest, and then of course you must be willing to learn on the job as well, because you can never know it all from the beginning.
Okay, secondly, are there regulations attached to this?
Oh yes, I say yes because whenever you are dealing with people, especially when it comes to financial stuff, you must always deal with companies. I advise that. I don't advise you go and give your money to somebody, you know, who is just operating from the back of the house somewhere. You know, so it has to be a registered company first off. That way you know that you have a legal backing in case anything goes wrong. So you must ensure that wherever you are, whether you're operating as a logistics person, have a company at least that one can trace to you. So yeah.
Okay, now let's quickly go on a quick break, and when we are back, we'll continue. So stay with us. Thanks for staying with us, and in case you're just joining us, it's still TV and business, and we've been discussing on convenience and affordability with outsourcing travel logistics. And of course, my guest is here with me in the studio. He's a travel advisor, a businessman, and also a social commentator. He is Richard Balagon. Okay, moving on to the next question. In every business, there is an inner aptitude and quackery that dent images. So how do you, genuine consult, try to keep us up?
Okay, also a very good question. I think first off, whoever is looking to deal, you should look out for verifiable claims. Somebody said something that is not 100% correct, but it works for me most of the time. He says, if something sounds too good to be true, it most likely isn't. You know, if somebody comes to tell you that, you know, I have the, you know, come to me and then all your visas are, you want to find out who are those that you've helped in the past. Can I see your track records? You know, who are what's your street cred like? Who are those that you are connected with? What verifiable documents do you have? Do you understand? You don't just come and, you know, lay claims. So once you look out for such things, that you ensure from the beginning that you don't fall. And another thing that's also very important, sometimes people in a bid to be smart end up being penny wise and pound foolish. Somebody gives you some ridiculous rates and then you drop your money. At the end of the day, you go back to the office and you find that they say nobody stays here. So you have to ensure that those they are dealing with have a good track record. They have partners, trusted partners. I mean, partners that you see and okay, now I trust this person, so he's safe, or I'm safe with him rather. So that's what you must look out for.
Okay, finally, thank you. So what's your advice to local and international travelers to ensure convenience, affordability, and safety?
I advise, back to what we started with, everybody as much as possible should try and outsource. Outsource as much as you can, especially things like travel. Because, you shouldn't spend the time that you should focus on your business trying to pursue travel. Do you understand? There are some people whose job it is to know these things. So reach out to them, partner with them. And there are, of course, these days so many trusted hands that are looking for who to partner with. Partner with them, I'll let them do your work, and the rest, enjoy your travels.
Yes. All right, thank you very much. Okay, I want to just ask you one very last question. Okay. So our viewers out there that don't really know the term outsource, can you just explain to them so that at least it'll be easy for them to understand?
Yes, so basically outsourcing is to transfer responsibility,
yeah.
Transfer the load from your head and just give it to somebody else to handle for you. So whatever, what you would ordinarily have done and spent your time and you just give someone and say, here's a token, just do it for me and let me know once it's done. So that's it.
Okay, all right, thank you. So to the federal government, what do you have for them to do?
I think the governments they have the strength and the authority to take the lead. If government agencies can partner with travel logistics companies, and then other people said, the federal government is already partnering. It will give them trust, because most of the time you find that there is lack of trust that is making the business to be kind of slow. People prefer, let me just go to the website myself, or let me go to their office myself, because of course we're talking about verifiable claims. So once you have partners that are trustworthy, like the federal government, like the state governments, like MDs, like all of these. Anybody. If I'm dealing with CBN, for instance, if I'm the one in charge of Ministry of Agriculture, people would understand. Okay, fine, he's a trusted person. Work with him. So I think they should take the lead in encouraging people to actually, outsource their travels.
Okay, for example, if I want to travel out somewhere, I'm supposed to come and meet you. How much am I supposed to pay you? Is it so expensive?
No. No. Funny thing is, to be fair, again, I've actually, in the course of my movement, I've heard some really outlandish prices that people call, but all in all, it's actually not expensive.
It's affordable.
Yes, it is very affordable. It's very affordable. As a matter of fact, there are some people, some agents that I know of that, with them, even inclusive of their service charge, it will still be cheaper than what you would ordinarily get on your own. So it's not supposed to make your travel more expensive. You should make it cheaper. That's the idea. You should make it cheaper. If I'm doing it for you, there should be a reason why. Why can't I just do it myself? Do you understand? So it has to be cheaper.
Okay, but if you're doing it for me, am I supposed to pay?
Of course. Of course. But I'll give you a discount. I'll give you a discount.
All right, thank you so much. Thank you for coming on TV and Business. It's good to have you here, Mr. Richard Balogun.
Yes, thank you.
And one of these days, I'm sure I'm going to come and meet you.
Sure. By all means, you're welcome.
You can travel to any country of my choice, right?
Yes, anywhere. Local, international, wherever you want. Except the moon, maybe. But here on Earth, you're fine. Anywhere you want to go.
Okay, all right. Thank you so much. It's good to have you today.
Thank you.
All right, that's so much you have for you today on TV and Business Update. I am Chiwendi Osisiago. Thanks for watching.